All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to June's Coach's Launchpad. Very excited to have you here. I see some new faces, so I'll introduce myself in case we have not met yet. I am the host of the Coach's Launchpad. I am an ICF volunteer. I'm not a board member. I started this initiative uh, almost 3 years ago when I started my own business. I did it because I saw the need, because of what I was going through. I saw the need of learning the business of building your coaching practice. And I knew that there was so much to learn. So what I started doing was to bring guest speakers, experts to share with us what needs to be done, what's worked for them to build our coaching business. So we've been bringing different guests, guest speakers, coaches with a lot of experience, people that do this for a living. And today is not different than other sessions. Today is a special session because we have two wonderful guests that are co-founders of the Coach Trap. And I will let them give more information about their company. But as you know, we're here to learn on how to turn LinkedIn into a consistent client pipeline. We are recording this session, which will is then posted in our ICF Houston YouTube channel. So if you are not subscribed yet, please do so you can see the replay. And welcome everyone. The ICF Houston has invited Greg Stein and Dan Williams for our session today. Greg is a certified life coach and the co-founder of the Coach Trap. And here as well, his co-founder, Dan Williams, who is an expert marketer. Both of these gentlemen are from the UK. And Greg is in somewhere all over, somewhere in the world, not in the UK right now, but Dan is in the UK and joining us today. So without further ado, and we can't wait to learn from you, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today at odd hours of wherever you're sitting from or joining us from. Um, Please welcome to the Coach's Launchpad, Greg, Dan.
Thank you so much for having us, and what an amazing introduction. Look, guys, I'm very wary that we've only got an hour or so, so we'll try to work through this to make this as clear and short and concise as possible. But I thought I'd start off with a brief introduction of how me and Dan met and why we're here. So, like I said, I'm a life coach and Dan is a marketer, and I wouldn't be here talking to you if it wasn't for Dan. So there's nothing like accountability or nothing like looking at your business as someone else looking at it from the outside in. I know you had another amazing guest, Rich Livin, and obviously he has a great philosophy about coaching, and I'd say I completely agree with everything that he says, but I'll give it a slight twist. You need to get there first in terms of your coaching. And what's happened to the world of coaching, like the world of AI, is things have changed. So in the past, you would create a website, put ads out on Gumtree, you would, sign up to an agency, whatever it might have been, right? But what's going to happen and what's happening now is that everything is getting drawn into LinkedIn because of AI. And that's why we're here. So what LinkedIn is going to become is your new landing page, if you like. In the past, let's say that it was a CV or a pitch deck. What it is now is a CV. Dan, before I jump into our slides that I hope make you all laugh, and I hope you enjoy it, anything that you want to add to that, Dan?
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Dan. I think Greg, you've explained it really well. I think what we really want to stress before we even start is that this isn't just to make your LinkedIn profile look better, more aesthetic, because that doesn't really matter. No one really cares, and you probably don't care either. It's to get more clients and it's to help more people. And that's why this matters, and that's why you've probably turned up today. So I thought I'd just reinforce that.
Great stuff. So Dan, just checking, because I'm not the most technically advanced guy. Am I sharing the right screen?
Yes, you're there.
Great. So obviously Dan keeps me accountable. All right. So and I hope this really helps you. So we've used the Cookie Monster. So I've got a starter question for all of you. Who is this guy? Right. In terms of LinkedIn and your business, is he you, the coach? Is he the client that's looking at your LinkedIn profile, your new landing page, you like, or is it the LinkedIn algorithm? Dan, should we do a quick show of hands? If people think it's you, maybe show one finger. If it's two, the client, show two. If it's three, the algorithm. All right. Should we do a quick show of hands, Dan, and you can check for me? So, who do we think this is? Do we think it's you, the client, or the LinkedIn algorithm? Who is the Cookie Monster in terms of what LinkedIn is? What we seeing there, Dan?
I'm seeing a couple of threes. Yeah, mostly threes.
Okay, interesting stuff, right? So we'll use the Cookie Monster, and I hope this inspires you as a story, as a vessel, if you like, right? So when Dan transformed my own business, a part of it was to change Greg as the hero to Greg as the guide, right? So the Cookie Monster is our vessel today to carry a story, if that makes sense. So let's move on. Who is he? So the real question was, it's actually a bit of a trick question. The Cookie Monster in this story is all three. He's the client, he's you, and he's the algorithm. So Cookie Monster likes cookies. He likes things fast, he likes things simple, he likes things clear, and he likes to enjoy himself as well. But in terms of the client, we live in a world that scrolls. So the Cookie Monster, give me cookie now. He wants it fast. In terms of you, he's not out there eating avocados or tomatoes. He's not, eating cheeseburgers. He wants one thing. He wants a cookie, and he wants to resonate and speak to other people who also like cookies. So less noise, more signal. Me like cookie, you like cookie. He's looking for the same thing. And in terms of the algorithm, he's wanting you to keep it simple. One problem, keywords, LinkedIn SSI score, which is your social selling index, which we will come into. So instead of cookie XYZ has NYB qualifications, lives in this place, has that award, etc., etc., I only eat cookies. Very simple. So you need to think like the Cookie Monster, write like the Cookie Monster, so the algorithm shows you to more Cookie Monsters. The biggest difference now is, Dan, isn't it, with the new algorithm with Brew 360, before it shows your posts to potential clients, it reads your profile first. Anything you want to add to that, Dan, before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big theme is it's simplicity and specificity as well, is the big theme between all three of those things. Especially with content. If you scroll your feed now, your LinkedIn feed, or even your own profile, you'll probably see that the content is made from the perspective of the coach. So they know what they're coaching, they know why it matters. But that the audience don't, they're strangers. And that's what a lot of coaches forget, is being really almost dumbing it down a little bit so that the client can understand why it matters, what it is, because they obviously haven't got your coaching qualifications. So yeah, simplicity,
Yeah.
big theme for the whole of the day, really.
Yeah. Cookie Monster likes cookies. Nice and simple. So let's move on, Dan. So the next part is we've actually prepared like a worksheet for you, right? So Dan hopefully will be able to drop that into the messages now. And don't feel you have to work for it now, but maybe at the end. And feel free to send us your sheet. Feel free to send us what you think, how you've, how this relates to you. And obviously we're here to give you some advice after if you want. So anything you want to add to that, Dan?
I'm just dropping it in the chat now.
Great stuff. So obviously on the chat as well, there's an opportunity for some Q&As, isn't there, Dan? So we'll come to that in a minute. So all good to move on?
All good.
All good to move on. So the Cookie Monster sheet, nice and simple. So the client, How have they changed? Well, they've changed a lot. Like I said, in the past, they would have had websites. But the problem is now, like the Cookie Monster's there, he lives in a world that scrolls. He wants something very, very quick. And two things have developed. One is something called thin slicing, where you have zero point 0.2 seconds to make an opinion of something. So something that I hear Dan say openly to everyone that we work with is, can you tell what your profile does in sales in 5 seconds? And the next thing as well is what the internet is adapted and changed us is to something called narcissistic or narcissism attribution bias, which means is that we automatically make an assumption of someone very quickly from looking at their profile. So Dan, in short, just making sure I've not missed anything there, the clients changed a lot, haven't they?
They have, especially on LinkedIn. Like people are scrolling potentially on their lunch break, maybe even while they're supposed to be doing work. They've got a very short attention span. You need to really grab them as soon as you can, because otherwise they just will not care. That's the brutal reality of it. You're a stranger.
Yeah.
They want to know what you can do for them. So if you can't tell them that, they're going to keep scrolling.
Mm. Come back to a few things. Remember I said about that narcissistic attribution bias. When I started, Dan, for my own coaching business back in 2023, whenever it was, all the gurus were trying to get you to be as glitzy and as glamorous as possible. Me, right? To position yourself as the hero. The problem is AI and the way that people's attention spans have changed. That's changed a lot now, isn't it? Instead of being the hero, you have to become the guide. Something else to think about, how the client has changed. 900 million LinkedIn users, 200 million posts a day, 90% of those are on their mobile. So people aren't buying coaching sessions on laptops anymore. They're buying them on their phone, Dan, aren't they? Okay, so they want things quick and they want to sit now. Now, actually, LinkedIn even has a new option where you can buy your sessions directly through the app if you've got a high enough membership. So you can see exactly what LinkedIn's doing to change that. So all good, Dan?
All
Ready
good.
to move on? Great
Ready to
stuff.
go.
Okay. So the coach. So the guide, not the hero. So in terms of this, right, back when I started, this is before I worked with Dan, it was all about, all the guru's sort of advice was to be as glitzy and glamorous as possible, to talk about how great your life was, to lead with your successes, to post about your qualifications or awards, right? The only problem is that doesn't quite attract clients anymore, Dan, does it? That's changed a lot. So what's happened to the coaches now is instead of being the hero, you need to position yourself as the guide. So whereas LinkedIn was your CV, talking about how great you are, the tides change a little bit now, Dan, hasn't it? It wants to see a story, and it wants to see you as the guide. So that means one problem and repeating words. So anything that you want to add there, Dan? So I think that the clearest way to say it is, like I said, where the coach in 2023, pre AI, or when AI was just talking about just how great I am, leading with qualifications, that's changed now, hasn't it? Now it's all about the story, all about the problem solving, all about repeating keywords. So Cookie Monster, I like cookies. I want cookies. What shop do I get my cookies from? Where's the best cookies to buy, etc., etc. Anything you want to add to that, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, there was a time when you'd scroll LinkedIn and you just see guru after guru telling you how brilliant they are and how much they've achieved and all the qualifications that they've done. And the fact is,
Yeah.
now people are just bored of it. They just don't really care. They want to know what you can do for them. And obviously, it's a lot more difficult to lie about helping people and client experiences, your experience getting into the coaching industry, rather than saying, "I've got a nice fast car, I've got a Rolex." No one really cares about that, especially in specific coaching niches like um, for example, grief coaching, life coaching in general. People don't want to see your qualifications. They want to see what you can do for them. And all they care about is that transformation.
Yeah, interesting stuff. So all ready to move on, Dan?
All good.
All good to move on. So the Cookie Monster, the new LinkedIn algorithm, Brew 360 explain. So the whole reason that Brew 360 was created was to counteract AI slop. So if you look on LinkedIn or any social media channel any day, you'll see that it's overwhelmed, isn't it, Dan, now with AI? And actually, what it is now is instead of hearing ICF coaches or hearing, therapists or dietitians, you're hearing very watered down versions of Tony Roth or Chris Williamson or someone, aren't you? Right? Because that's what AI does. It makes it very generic. So you can see what Brew 360 was all about. It wanted to help people. So actually, it's not here to hinder you, it's here to help you. And the big change, wasn't it, Dan, is what it does now is it checks your profile. First thing it checks is your banner, and it goes from right to left. So now AI can read text in images. It will read your banner, it will go to about you, your tagline, even your username at the top down and about you to link keywords to your post, and then it will make a decision on whether it's going to show it to someone. All right. And actually, going on the amount of likes and repost does, it decides whether it's going to repost it again to a certain amount of people. So it's to cut through AI generated noise, isn't it, Dan? It wants more authenticity. It wants more reviews. So the number one change that we notice with this, Dan, is that it's pushing newsletters. So it's pushing long form, isn't it? And then video second. So newsletters first, video second, post third, right? And that's changed a lot, isn't it, with this new? But anything you want to add there, Dan, in terms of what's changed with LinkedIn and the algorithm?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about being specific before, and this just makes it even more important than it ever was. And it always was pretty important. So obviously, the LinkedIn will read through your profile. So you'll probably have noticed that all the coaches that are kind of doing well on LinkedIn, you don't see anymore business coach, fitness coach, life coach, even. You see the result that they give. So you see, I help you lose 5 pounds of fat in 30 days, that kind of thing. And that means that LinkedIn can really match the content to the person that wants to see it. So it's an advantage for us smaller creators who are actually trying to help a few people rather than just be big gurus and kind of show off. So yeah, it's a good thing being specific. And we'll talk more about that later as well.
Absolutely. And you can see in the image there, right? So the Cookie Monster wants to talk to other Cookie Monsters. They are out there in a very crowded environment, even though there's lots of Kermit the Frogs. All right. But the Brew Freak 360 is all about deciding how hard, how great you've made that content. And then it decides where it's going to show it to other Cookie Monsters. Whereas in the past, Dan, it just showed it to everyone. So it's changed a lot, hasn't it? Right. So that's a really, really big difference. So let's move on. I'm going to put you on the spot, Dan, before we move on. I'm going to look through some bad and some good profiles. All right. Remember that 90% of people look through LinkedIn on their phone. Remember that they want you to lead as the guide with the problem now. What do you see here, Dan? As an expert, right, who looks at, nearly however many LinkedIn profiles you look at over a calendar year, what's your thoughts on that there? What does that make you think?
Yeah, this is my favorite part of the PowerPoint, to be honest. I get to slate everyone. Um, so, so yeah, obviously we're on mobile. I'm not sure about you. You're probably on a laptop right now. I cannot see what that banner on the left says. So I've got absolutely no hope on the phone, and I've got pretty strong glasses as well, so I should be able to see it. No idea. It's pretty pointless. I can't see it. Um, Going down to the name, the headline, obviously you've got those qualifications in there. This is something that a lot of people do, and it's something that you shouldn't really do. Nobody really cares about your qualifications until they know that you can help them. So it's a great thing to have in your LinkedIn profile. If you're scrolling down, if someone's trying to vet you to be a client of yours, um, but it's not a good thing to have for all strangers. They don't know you yet. They don't care about you yet. That's the brutal truth of it. So having those letters is just using up space that you could be using to tell them why you're really good and why they should buy from you, basically. Obviously,
Mm.
we've got a very, very long list of things that this person is: owner, executive coach, organization culture. It's a lot of words with little meaning, to be quite honest. Um, Nobody really knows what that means. Nobody knows how it actually applies to their lives. And as we said, that's all they care about. And it's a pretty
Yeah.
similar story on the right as well. We can see the banner this time, but we've got again vague words: transform, breakthrough. What are we breaking through? What are we transforming? I've got no idea. Performance, career coach. I mean, that could mean a million different things. People want to know how you help them and why it matters. It's pretty simple. And it's something that a lot of people overcomplicate as well, as we can see. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my slating done.
Dan, and you're an expert at it, all right? So again, if you go back to the three aspects of the Cookie Monster in this: client, coach, algorithm. In terms of the client, I'd look at that, and you've got 0.2 seconds, the thin slicing, the narcissism attribution bias. I can't see what the problem is that they solve. In terms of the coach, I can't really see what they sell. I can't really see what it is. In terms of the algorithm, it would match them with other executive coaches, other career coaches. So that's not going to match them with people looking for coaching, looking to have their problem solved. It's going to match you in terms of to mingle. Yeah. And that's not why we're here, is it? Even though that's nice on LinkedIn, we're here to sign clients. So what that needs to become is a real one problem that you solve, doesn't it? So actually, when the people look for that, your profile comes up. And there's many ways to look for the problems your clients are looking to search. Reddit is fantastic for that. There's an app called Ask the Public. Um, and obviously, Google Trends is quite a good one as well, Dan, isn't it? Right. So you can match the real specific terminology and questions that people are looking for. So, got a good story here, Dan, haven't we? So, how Dan transformed my own business is when I started off, I thought that what I did as a career would help me sell, what my qualifications, etc., I thought would help me sell. It didn't, Dan, did it? It failed. What Dan did to my business was to get me to lead with vulnerability, to get me to talk about a messy, broken ex relationship and the spiral that went with it. And what that enabled me to do was to resonate, Dan, wasn't it? Right. So instead of Greg the life coach, it became Greg the relationship coach who's been through what you have, if that makes sense. Yeah. So good point. All right, to move on, Dan.
Yep, all good. I mean, that's a great point. You're gonna get matched with other coaches. I think that's probably
Mm,
something that almost all of our clients have told us about at some point. So yeah, good to bear in mind.
yeah. So we've got another one here. And I don't think we need to spend that much time on this, Dan, but you can just see, can't you? 0.2 seconds, thin slicing, the three ways that the Cookie Monster is going to look at it. Can I see what that about you does in 5 seconds or less?
Definitely not.
And that's the issue, isn't it? So that's why, like I said, where LinkedIn used to be a CV, it's now a landing page. It's a website. It's basically your this is where people are going to go to buy from you now. So that has to change, doesn't it? Okay. So let's move on. So the real question is, what is it that you need to do? So I know we've been talking about the Cookie Monster, but he doesn't like avocados. He doesn't like cheeseburgers. He likes cookies, which means he wants to relate with other Cookie Monsters, other people who like cookies, other people who struggle to make the best cookies, other people who want to find out where to buy the best cookies. Yeah, Dan? So cookie being the key word, and all the related problems or issues or things that people like sort of integrated in with it. So let's go through this. The first thing you could do, and this is obviously on the sheet that you've got, and we'll come to a Q&A at the end. You can check your SSI score for free. So all you have to do is type in linked SSI into your tab into Google or Edge or whatever it might be. And you can check your score, and it'll give you a really good insight on how you comment, how to find the right people, that sort of stuff. And that's a good index down, isn't it? But what we've also found out is that anything below 40 it means it holds you back when it posts, doesn't it? Anything over 60 is going to push you. So it's really, really important. One thing that people miss out a lot, Dan, isn't it, is this part. Number two, the username. Become incredibly important. Make sure that you change it to something that's your niche or your name. First thing that we found out that algorithm reads, isn't it, Dan, is your banner, as AI can read image on text now. And to make it clear and to make sure it reads very well on a phone. PFP, link to pictures, nice and simple, on theme. Something that you love to talk about, though, Dan, this is your section, isn't it? Tagline and about you. So talk to me a little bit more about that, because the other ones, the LinkedIn SSI, people go and check on their own. The username they can change for themselves quite easily. The banner, they just realize it's got to be really simple and it's got to match the keywords that they use within their business, and it's got to look good on a phone. Profile picture. Actually, here's a good question for you, Dan. Would you use AI in your profile picture or not?
It's a good question. And the answer is pretty much no. I think the simpler you can keep it, the better. Are you going to be using AI when you're on calls with your clients? Probably not. Probably not as a facial filter. So why would you do it on a LinkedIn profile? I'm not sure. Nobody hires a coach because they look better. So swallow the pride a little bit. Put your face on there is pretty simple. And I think most people do this pretty well. It's just having a clear shot of your face. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it too much.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's that's a good one, Dan, isn't it? And the about you. So instead of talking about your qualifications and about how great you are, to lead with the vulnerability, to lead with the problem solving. So the key to this actually is to pick up, an issue that you've had in your own life, to talk about how you've solved it, so you can repeat it to teach others. That's the key, isn't it, Dan, to the about you. Me and Dan coined this a long time ago as the holiday test. So what you want this to be, and the content that you create, which we're going to come into in a minute, has to pass the holiday test. So for that, that's that feeling where you're in a foreign land on holiday. Maybe you're having breakfast downstairs in the lobby or whatever it might be, and you hear someone who has the same accent as you, the same cadence, and you want to know who they are, how they got here, why they're here, and you want to relate to them. You want to resonate, don't you? So that's the key. So instead of leading as you as the hero, you come back to leading with you as the guide. All good to move on, Dan?
The other thing I was going to mention, number one, the SSI score. This is probably going to humble quite a few coaches because potentially you're getting quite good views now. You're getting quite good likes, and that's pretty easy to do. If you talk to everyone, then everyone's going to look at your post. They're going to give you a like. It doesn't take much effort, and they're going to scroll past. Potentially, you're not getting the clients because the SSI score is too low because you're not being specific enough. And I think it's almost an inverse correlation. The more views you get, the more you focus on talking to everyone, the lower your SSI score is going to be because you're not being specific enough, and no one really feels called out by the content. So yeah, easy thing to check. Very good.
Yeah, that's it. So remember, it checks your profile first before it checks your content, and then it makes a decision on whether it's going to put it in front of other people looking for cookies. Yeah. So let's move on to the content part. So we developed it. Well, it's not we developed. It's a system that we know works on LinkedIn called Slay. So story, lesson, actionable advice in your turn. With this though, Dan, do you write with AI? Do you use hashtags? Do you use emojis? What sort of images do you use? Right? What sort of time of day do you post? All that sort of like complicated stuff. One thing I would say, when we started, it was all about posting 7 days a week at least, right? And actually, there was a time when me and Dan for our company were posting every single day on every single platform, sometimes twice a day. And that worked, did it, Dan, for a long time. It still works on some platforms. It doesn't work on LinkedIn. We found out it's optimal at the moment to post 3 or 4 times a week, Dan, isn't it? Right? But for them to be good and for them to be heartfelt, honest stories, right? A deep dive. But talk to me a little bit more, Dan, about this like content shift. going from, again, not putting yourself out as the hero, not talking about how good you are and how great you are and what qualifications you've got, but actually talking about what problems you solve, what issues you faced when you were vulnerable, and how you worked through it.
I mean, I could talk about this forever. We had a client recently who was asking whether she should post 6 times or 5 times a week, and it's like it doesn't really matter. The difference between 5 and 6 times a week is not it's not going to be the end of the world. What I told her is that the what you should post is however much you can without hating it or your post quality dropping. So, are you still helping people? Yes. Can you write another post that helps people as well? Yes, post it then. And whatever you can do that sustainably, um, post as much as you can as long as you are helping people. Um, and that's the simple advice that I would give. We could talk about hashtags, emojis. Hashtags I wouldn't use anymore. Easy advice there. Emojis, if you use them in normal, like if you were texting a friend, you can use them. You should use them. It's kind of all about being yourself with the writing. As long as the topic is relevant to the person, then you write it however you would speak or however you would write to a client. Because at the end of the day, you want people to become clients. So even if you sacrificed a few views or a few likes, to write how you want to write, it's worth it because you're still gonna get the people who would become clients talking to you. So yeah, that's the big thing. Keeping it simple again.
Yeah, it's a really good point, isn't it? Right. So, me and Dan have got some inside information from LinkedIn. We know a few things. The first thing they said, that the dead giveaway that someone isn't quite up to with the times is hashtags. That was the first thing done, wasn't it? Right. The second thing that works really well at the moment for gurus is infographics, but poorly for coaches. Dan. Yeah. So we can talk about this as well. So where you have these infographic posts, and they're the top 1% of performing posts on LinkedIn at the moment, and it's to squeeze as much stuff as you can into a single post. For a guru, it will work, but for a coach, it doesn't, because a coach doesn't need vanity metrics down to there. They need to resonate with a very small amount of people. So if you're a guru creating infographics, you want to appeal to Kermit the Frog, not just the Cookie Monster. You want to appeal to the whole gang, don't you? Right? But if you're the Cookie Monster, you don't need 1,000 people to like your posts. You just need 7 or 8. And that's the real key, isn't it, Dan, actually, sometimes with this. So to look past the vanity metrics and to think about really where it resonates. I stopped looking at vanity metrics a long time ago in terms of likes and whatever. I count one metric a month, and that's conversations. And I want to have 50 a month. So what content does, your profile and this, is it shines the light on the door, Dan, doesn't it? So you can open the door with a DM, a private message, to have as many conversations as possible. And that's really the key, Dan, isn't it? Is you don't want to talk to Kermit the Frog. You don't want to talk to the whole gang. I only want to talk to other people just like me, or other people who are going through what I went through. And that's the key with this, isn't it, Dan? If you try to appeal to everyone, you talk to no one.
That's a great
If you
point. And I mean, people talk about all the time how likes aren't cash. I hear that all the time.
mm,
And it is true, but it gets boring when you hear it all the time. What is cash then? Cash is the amount of conversations you can have with the right people. That is directly proportional to how many clients you're going to get. How many conversations can you have with the right people? And that's what the content is for. It's not to get the likes. Nobody really cares about that. Maybe your ego does a little bit, but it doesn't matter ultimately. It's having those conversations with decent people.
yeah,
That's all it is.
yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. Let's move on. So we talked about some fixes. How do we fix a broken cookie, if you like, right? So you've got the cookie worksheet, right? Dan sent that to you, and you can go away and check your own LinkedIn SSI. But before we go into a Q&A, this was brought up, Dan, wasn't it, in one of the other webinars that we've done recently, to talk about some good profiles, right? So you can all laugh at mine there on the left, but let's talk about the one on the right, Dan. Okay, specifically the tagline, the about you, the stuff like that. Talk to me about and also the way the about you section's been written with the mind gaps, the amount of words in the sentences. At any time there, apart from on the right hand side, obviously, does it talk about our qualifications? So talk to us a little bit more about that, Dan, about her, about why that's a good, and also something else to consider. In newspaper terms, there's something called above the fold and under the fold. So when you look at your LinkedIn, you'll realize that some of it shows and some of it's hidden, Dan, isn't it, in terms of the about you and the tagline. So actually, there's a reason I haven't put the whole about you, about hers, because you want to see above the fold, right? You want to see it as soon as you open up her profile on a phone, that's what it says. So talk me through about why hers is good, um, what you like about it, and then you can all laugh at my PFP and banner and stuff they're done.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with the banner because obviously that's where the algorithm starts. And again, that the algorithm is going to read this and it's going to kind of match it. It's going to see does the profile match the content? Are you talking to the same kind of person? And if it doesn't, they're not really going to boost you. So you're not going to reach as many people as you could to have those conversations with. So the banner, obviously, keeping it simple. Again, you're probably going to get bored of me saying that, but it is true and it works. So I'm going to keep saying it. Courage is in you. Short tagline. Um, and you can actually read it. If you're on a phone, you could read the 4 words there. Um, you'll probably notice that the tagline there is 2 lines. I mean, the other one that we looked at was about 7 or more than that, 10 plus. So yeah, keeping it simple again, helping adults raising difficult family dynamics. That is when someone reads that, when an ideal client reads that, they're going to think, okay, that's me, and that's all you want. That's all you want them to think. And ultimately, you're going to have people that say, I wasn't raised in difficult family dynamics. I don't care. That's going to be most people. In fact, they're going to look at that and they're going to be, I don't care. And that's what you want. You don't want everyone to be following you, looking at your profile, because you're not going to be having the conversations with them that ultimately leads to you helping them and become getting clients. So it's pretty simple. Again, family boundary coach is slightly vague a little bit, but obviously you've got the tagline before that. It tells you exactly what it means. So if you just put family boundary coach, nobody knows what that means really. However, obviously you can see who it's for and why it matters to stop people pleasing, build confident boundaries, and that's why it is so good. Obviously, in the about section, Greg talks about that question as well. I actually really love it. I love the questions when you have them in the about section because it really makes you think and it makes the person reading it think of you as a coach, which is obviously it sounds stupid, but that's what it needs to be. Did you feel heard when you grew up? Obviously, that's going to strike a chord with the right people again, and it's not going to strike a chord with the wrong people, and they're going to scroll, and we don't care. So yeah, really good one. I mean, Greg, do you want to talk about your own one, or shall I tell you how good you are?
You can self-diagnose it, Dan, as you help craft it. So you can go for it.
Obviously, we told you not to use generic terms like life coach. However, when they're next to terms that are explaining what they are, rather than just saying life coach, property investor, executive, career, transition, performance, all of these words that you hear, when it's actually explained what it is, perfect. We've been where you are is a big thing for us, and a big thing potentially for you as well. Most coaches, I would say, probably about 70% of coaches, are helping almost their past self. And explaining that to people is going to make them trust you a hell of a lot quicker. Knowing that you've been where they are, and you've come through it and you've had that transformation, as we talked about before, it's just going to build that trust that much faster, be able to have those conversations a little bit more openly, so that obviously you can convert them into clients quicker, help them quicker. So yeah, ultimately, it's a great profile. Well done, Greg.
What I like about Alex, I won't shout the name there, sorry. What I like about this one here, the Courage is in You, it reminds me of Apple. So if you remember the Apple concept with the iPod, 1,000 songs in your pocket. It wasn't 5 gigabytes of space or 1,000, whatever it was. There's very clear branding. And I also think it builds intrigue. The question below the about you is a moonshot, isn't it? It's that thing that haunts you in the middle of the night when you've got your problem and he goes, right, that's the person that I need to reach out to. That's what that sort of question does, Dan, isn't it? Right? Is it resonates, it's thought provoking, makes you think. And that's what I like about it. Let's move on. Oh, we've got Dan's there. Now, what I like about Dan's actually is I can see his character in it. I know who Dan is, I know what his style is, and I can see it very, very clearly. Just before I hand you back, Dan, we'll talk about how important this section is. This is including. So if you want to increase your SSI score, the best thing you can do is recommendations and endorsements from other coaches or other people. Sorry, right? Is get as many recommendations and endorsements as you can, and to include your reviews in your service section. That isn't like a setting or anything like that. It's actually making it an image and putting it into your service section. But also, after your banner, going back to the Cookie Monster, if you're a client, one of the first things you look at is this, Dan, isn't it? The featured section, right? So how important is that to be very clear and to show signal of what it is that your business actually does, what you're about, very clearly in the featured section. So I see lots of coaches not use this, Dan. Surprises me. All right, lots of people not use it, but how valuable is this section right here, Dan? The featured part.
Yeah, I mean, once you've got the profile sorted, the tagline, the about section, and you've called out who you're helping and why it matters, which hopefully I've done there. Hopefully you agree with me. Once people are scrolling, then you're probably only going to be getting people who are your ideal clients keeping scrolling if you're specific enough. And obviously in that feature section, you can put things like we've got the podcast, we've got the newsletter, and we've got the community. So kind of almost like a funnel. So you want people to keep going up the funnel, getting more value, getting a little bit more personal as well. The podcast obviously is great for us because people can hear us speak rather than just see the writing. That actually makes quite a massive difference. But yeah, as Greg said, I think this does kind of show my character a little bit to the point, simple, not really worried about what people are thinking, just kind of showing you what I can offer, and that's about it. So I'm not gonna go on about how great it is for too long.
What I like about yours, Dan, is it's very to the point, and that's very much like what your character is, right? Going back to the featured section, why that's so important, just to make this clear, no one just clicks on your profile and buys your high ticket package, Dan, do they? No one does that. What they tend to do is to watch you for 7 hours, 6 to 8 clicks. What me and Dan call that is the stepping stones. So from when someone sees your profile, sees your content first as it pops up on their feed, they'll check your profile, and then they're going to have a deep dive into you, Dan, for 6 to 8 clicks, 7 hours, and then they make a decision on whether they're going to drop onto a call with you. That's why this part here, Dan, is so incredibly important, isn't it? And that's what we teach everyone in the Coach Trap, is strategic giving. Giving because you care, giving because you want to help people, but actually making this like a real fundamental part of your business and your LinkedIn, creating the 6 to 8 clicks, the 7 hours, the stepping stones, Dan. Yeah, super important. Anything you want to add there, Dan?
Yeah, we've had a couple of questions in the chat, so I'm going to just answer
Yeah.
these quite quickly. Should you have a business page? Yes, you should never post on it though, which is going to make you think, what am I talking about? We have a business page. If you look at me or Greg's profile, you will see the Coach Trap business page. You'll also see that we've never posted on it. The reason we have it is because we can have the logo in our experience section, which is obviously a nice thing to have. But people don't want to read posts from businesses. I think it's about 7 times the engagement that a personal brand gets versus a company brand. So yes, you should have a business page, but only for the logo on your personal page, if that makes sense. Other questions. Do you only look at SSI? Well, ultimately, what we look at as the number one thing is, does this post generate conversations that get me clients? That's all that matters at the end of the day. So impressions are one thing, profile views are another thing. but are they from the right people? Are they generating me clients? That's what you really need to be looking at and tracking as well. A lot of people don't track that kind of thing. And once you track it, you can replicate it, you can do more of it, and you can get more of those results. SSI is new to me. Where is it in LinkedIn? I think we've got the link for it in the cookie worksheet. I think
Yeah.
it's just linkedin.com/SSI, something like that, isn't it, Greg?
Yeah, yeah, it's really, really simple. It's actually in the Sales Navigator. So actually, you can get Sales Navigator free for a month, but actually doing the SSI test score is completely free. And also, you can download it, can't you, Dan, in terms of a PDF, and you can download your profile. That's actually how we assess a lot of profiles, Dan, isn't it? So actually, all of the data, everything you can get at and look at and analyze it, and that's part of what we do, Dan, isn't it? In terms of a business, is you can pinpoint what's working, what's not quite working. All right, let's do one more thing, Dan, before we finish up with some more Q&A um, things. So the Cookie Monster, right? You like Cookie, me too. So it's resonating, like we did in my profile. I've been where you are. The About section starts with a question, resonates. Banner says quite clearly what he does. Oh, sorry. Oh, hang on. Reads. I'll go back. Sorry. Psychology and the algorithm. No, psychology, sorry, reads landing pages top right to bottom left. So that's why the banner is so important for not just the client, the algorithm, then it goes down. Anything else in there, Dan? Anything else that is a good time to maybe finish and just how important that section is? So above the fold, first thing that you'll see when you click on someone's profile is 0.2 seconds to make a decision, thin slicing, narcissistic attribution bias, right? You make a decision instantly on what you think about this person, what they're selling, can they help me? Does it pass the holiday test? All of this sort of stuff from looking at the Cookie Monster. Anything that you've changed?
There's nothing I change because I mean, to be honest, actually, the linkedin.com/cookie monster in the banner there, I wouldn't have that there because obviously they're on the profile already. But I think we've just got that for the dramatic effect in the PowerPoint. What I love about it is the work with me to get more cookies thing. So work with me to get desired outcome. That's what people are on the profile to see if you can help them with. They don't care about anything else. And again, in the about section, we've got the personal story about I was where you were, and then the transformation until I found a way to make endless amounts of cookies. Um, and that's where we're going with it.
At any point in that profile, Dan, is he trying to appeal to Kermit the Frog?
Exactly, yeah. Absolutely not.
That's the point. That's the point, isn't it? Right? He only wants to appeal to the Cookie Monster. It's incredibly clear. Does it say too much about himself? Is there any great accolades or like Cookie Monster awards he's had or anything like that? Does it show any
Yeah.
Sesame Street?
Yeah,
Doesn't,
it's
does
all
it?
about the person. It's all about the questions. It's all about what can I get? Um, and that's all that matters. Again, is nobody cares about the Cookie Monsters um, qualifications, especially strangers, which is what the people that is going to be looking at your profile, the people that this actually matters for. They don't care about your qualifications again. So yeah, good
Mm.
profile there. If only he had
Yeah,
a coaching offer.
yeah. It's a great question. Okay, so let's finish up with some Q&A. I know we've asked a few, and this would be a great way to finish it, Dan. So um, read them out, Dan, and let's answer them as we go.
Re-explain the holiday test. What's it all about? Why does it matter?
Okay, great. So, Dan, we can explain this in terms of my business, can't we? So, when I first started, I tried to appeal to everyone. The only problem was I might have got likes, but actually, I talked to no one or not enough people into the DMs, Dan, didn't I? Right. What I decided to do was to change my content to document. So, I appealed to other Gregs, if that makes sense, other coaches, other people that have had the same struggles and pain. So, what the holiday test is like I said, I coined this actually. I was on holiday with my wife and I went downstairs and I was eating my breakfast and I heard someone with exactly the same accent as me. And I thought to myself instantly, who's this guy? Why are they here? How did they get here? Etc. Etc. So is to resonate with the smallest viable option, Dan, isn't it? Don't worry about chasing hundreds of likes or, you know, awards or whatever it might be. Don't worry about getting a LinkedIn top voice or anything it might be. You only need to appeal to a certain amount of people, to other cookie monsters. Anything you want to add to that, Dan?
I think you've explained it well. Again, it's just being specific with who you're trying to get interested in you. I mean, if I landed in France and I heard a British accent, I'd be interested. So that's what it's all about, getting that resonation on point. Another question for you, Greg. I think you'll like this one. You obsess over this a little bit. Um, are you suggesting that you don't need a website?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. So, yes, and there's other reasons for that as well. So, if you want to get cited on AI, landing pages read better now because they fit within 1,400 to 1,800 characters. And also how you can cite it in terms of like AI is better. So all you need actually is your social media profile or profiles, CTA to a landing page, Dan, isn't it? One 30-second video and two links, indirect and direct. Dan, one of the reasons I failed the first time round, I had a flashy website with all my qualifications on, all my career, my family life, all that sort of stuff. Actually, what it did, Dan, it made me unapproachable. All right. So I would say make it short and simple. Websites are out, landing pages are in. And actually, I think what will happen maybe even further down the line is landing pages will be out and it will just be social media.
100%. I mean, to add to that, you're almost over explaining yourself too much. Like if you're putting your qualifications right on the website, people don't know you that well yet. I would say leave the qualifications and that kind of stuff for your sales call or even for when they become a client. Because ultimately people don't care about the qualifications. It's what you can do for them. And you can explain that
Absolutely.
in very few words on a landing page. And obviously
Yeah.
it's more specific as well. People are going to see the landing page. They're going to see exactly what you want them to see. And they're going to read all of it. So that's it's almost increasing the value of the real estate on the page almost. I'm just looking at more questions
Let's
here.
go for it, Dan.
There was
Was
one earlier for Greg. Greg, will you please share how your business has grown through your efforts on LinkedIn? Are those clients
Yeah.
individuals or organizations?
Good question. Actually, Dan, what we found is that organisations have reached out to us in multiple ways. So I'll start with that first. We answer a lot of Reddit posts, believe it or not. We were found on there a few times. We obviously have a podcast. So we find actually this is a mad stat. The average salary of someone, believe it or not, who watches a podcast, is the median, their salary is believed to be about 75K. So a podcast is a great thing to start. So that was great for us with the smaller businesses, our B2B. But LinkedIn, I find, is great for reaching individuals, Dan, isn't it? So what I tend to do is I trained my feed. So at the top right section or the top left-hand section of your LinkedIn, it will have a search bar. I search for very specific keywords to find very specific people to follow their content to build up a rapport enough to reach out to them, if that makes sense. So for B2B, they seem to come to us through the podcast, through answering Reddit. We post on Medium, all sorts of stuff. But actually for individuals and coaches, we find that's very much more specific on LinkedIn. And a great tool for that, for honing in on people, is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So let's say if you wanted to find people who live in a certain area, you wanted to bring them right down to get to know them or to find them, you can have there's a free option for a month, I believe, on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, and to add to that as well, the only thing separating you from your next ideal client is the fact that they don't know you exist. So obviously, when you're putting yourself in front of them, that's what this is for, to have the conversations with them. Even separating you from doing a talk with ICF, it's just knowing the right people, being seen by the right people, and being able to add your value that way. Because ultimately, you don't get paid for the value that you give. You get paid for the amount of people that see the value that you give, if that makes sense. So you've got to be
Yeah.
seen. That's what this is all about. So another question, another quick question. Does the name of your business matter? I think that's an interesting one. For coaches,
Ooh.
if you're in kind of in your niche, some kind of life coach, for example, um, I think someone's already replied. It should be your name. So if I had like Dan Williams coaching, for example, it doesn't really matter what the name of your business is. It's what the business can do for the person. So we've got the coach trap. Ideally, that explains that we are talking to coaches, and we're talking to coaches that feel stuck as well, and it kind of explains that a little bit in the company name. But it doesn't need to be anything like aesthetic or sounds cool, because no one buys a coach because their business name sounds cool. Um, but that's what I'd say on that. What do you think, Greg?
It's such a good question, isn't it? Test it. How many times have we tested, Dan? How many times have we failed as well? So, I said my coaching company failed the first time round. It succeeded the second time round. The coach track, we've had multiple attempts at different tactics, haven't we, Dan? Multiple attempts at different taglines, different, whatever's it might be. But yeah, I think trial and error, and you might find something that resonates and reaches. But we know people, and we've worked with coaches, haven't we, Dan? In particular, alcohol, sobriety, relationships, who include the name in their username in their business. It seems to do better with tags, Dan, doesn't it? Seems to do better with some keyword find. So I'd say if it's a very specific niche you've got, like alcohol or relationship or something like that, I would think about using it.
Yeah, it's a simple one. Again,
Wendy,
simple.
you have a question? And that will be the last question since we are
Yeah,
almost done.
it was a follow-up. That was my question about the business name. I'm getting myself all wrapped around the axle about what to call myself, what to call my business, because I've got a long name. So my name is Wendy Johnston Burt, and then if I add life coaching, it seems like a huge mouthful. So I've been
Yeah.
thinking about tags like your coach trap, little nutshells of what I offer. And it's hard not to sound corny, so, and there are so many people who've got so many corny names out there. So I was just
Yeah.
curious. You
No.
mentioned trial and error.
Yeah, it's a really, really good question.
And I
I
was
would say
very
this.
interested when I heard your accents, by the way.
Yeah, yours
Not that
as
yours is
well,
my
right?
kind, but still.
We're not quite
Of
as
course, right? So
upper class.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
I'll
maybe
tell you a story of,
maybe not.
of why I use trap in particular. I used it on something off an app called Ask the Public. So when I was really doing a deep dive into the branding of the company and specifically helping both businesses and coaches turn their message into a business, that was no accident. I found it because I know people are searching for it, if that makes sense. So Ask the Public, Google Trends. There's other ways to find out very specific stuff that people are looking for. So let's say that, I know I talked about the alcohol and the sobriety. Me and Dan have worked with a few coaches like that. There's a few terms, isn't there, Dan, that people look for, and again, just an element of trial and error. Something will stick, but how many great businesses have failed, at least 3 or 4 times before they find that magic spot, Dan, this isn't your first business, is it, either? You start with, commerce and all sorts of stuff before coming into this space? It's just one of those things.
Yeah, exactly. Other thing I just want to add, I've just popped in the chat the LinkedIn diagnostic link. So if you're confused a little bit and you want a little bit more direction on how, what direction to go with your LinkedIn, that should help you. And it's obviously free. So do that.
Greg,
Great
Dan,
stuff.
we have gotten to the 1 o'clock mark, and we are so grateful that you have shared all this knowledge about LinkedIn with us. I know I've taken so many, insights from you sharing your expertise. Greg, thank you for joining us at, the time that it is for you, wherever you are. And
2 a.m. now.
is there a way for us wow, that's amazing. Is there, would you like to put in the chat how we can follow you guys? Is there a place where we can reach you besides the document you shared?
I'll leave that with you, Dan. What's the best?
I mean, if you search Coach Trap, we'll come up, or if you search Greg Stein or Dan Williams, we'll come up, and you can connect with us. Send us a message on LinkedIn, maybe, and maybe we can look at your profile that way. I won't be so harsh, maybe that time.
It comes from a good place, Dan.
100%.
Thank you. Okay, and before you leave, I would like to take a picture because I like to post our sessions in LinkedIn and tag you. I'm going to tag you guys. So if you want to be on the picture, please stay and turn your videos on. All right, and I'm going to do it now. Perfect. Thank you so much. Picture is taken. I'll post something in LinkedIn. Greg, Dan, thank you again. And all the coaches that attended, thank you for your time. And we will see you next month with another guest speaker. Have a great rest of your week. Thank you, everyone.